Assalamu alaikum and good evening. You're watching Witness and I'm your host Quatrina Hossain. Pakistan's political scene remains as chaotic as always, which is one of the joys of actually being a journalist in this country. But on a more serious note, the events that have taken place right now are likely to have long-term repercussions. Or will they? Have people wisened up or have they not? When I say people, I mean anybody and everybody who could have been involved with what we are calling Memogate. Memogate is probably likely to be a watershed in Pakistani history. For once, all the evidence, everything is out there. People can read for themselves, judge for themselves, the comments, the statements, the denials, the counter-denials. And amidst this backdrop, the Prime Minister requested the resignation of Pakistan's ambassador to the United States, Mr. Hossain Haqqani. Mr. Haqqani acceded to that request, and the People's Party government has nominated another ambassador today. That's going to be MNA Sherry Rahman, the former Federal Information Minister. Sherry Rahman's appointment to this job is being welcomed by lots of people. There's sure to be critiques as well. We welcome that all the discussions on that debate. It is an important position given the relationship between Pakistan and the United States at present. But equally importantly, the investigation that has been ordered, the inquiry that has been ordered by the Prime Minister, we need to know more about that, don't we? So we are going to explore a lot of these issues and see how far this inquiry will go, will the chips land where they will, and how will the domestic political situation shake out after that, given the fact that the Pakistan Muslim League N and the Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf are very much on the warpath against the ruling coalition. Allow me to introduce my guest here in the studio. My first guest, Mr. Qamar Zaman Kaira. He's an MNA, of course, with the Pakistan People's Party, the former Federal Information Minister, and currently the Information Secretary of his party. My second guest today, Lieutenant General Retired, Mr. Qadir Baloch. He's an MNA from the Pakistan Muslim League N. And my third guest today, I welcome Mr. Pervaiz Khan, an MNA from the Awami National Party. And Mr. Kaira, let's begin with the really crucial point that I have also been concerned not to have received more information about. The inquiry that the Prime Minister has ordered into the whole Memogate scandal. What are the terms of reference of this inquiry? Who is going to conduct this inquiry? The government, the judiciary, Parliament? Has anything been discussed or decided?
Thank you, Quatrina. As far as inquiry is concerned, Prime Minister on the floor of the House assured the House that we have called the ex-ambassador Mr. Hossain Haqqani from US, and he will explain his position. He was called, he explained his position, and then, as you rightly said, that he resigned from his position. On the note that I have been controversial now. There are many critics who are criticizing him, and to end this criticism, that's the better way. He opted that. Inquiry, the Prime Minister's promised with the nation and with the parliamentarians, with the Parliament on the floor of the House, that has been ordered by the Prime Minister. Till now, I am not sure that what are the terms and conditions or TORs, or who will conduct the inquiry. This is a tricky question, whether I have my own reservations whether we can go for the inquiry, because there are 2, 3, 4 characters of this inquiry. One is Mr. Hossain Haqqani. The other is Mr.
Mansoor
Ejaz. Then there are 2, 3 Americans who are, Mr. Mansoor Ejaz is as well the American citizen, and the other are James Jones.
General Jim Jones and Admiral Mike Mullen.
So the inquiry committee, whosoever will be, can, according to Pakistani law, we can summon them, we can invite them.
I don't know if you really,
forensic tests.
Yeah, I don't know if you really, well, I'll come to that in a bit, but my particular question then is that asking for Mr. Haqqani's resignation yesterday, was that a knee-jerk reaction? Is he being made a scapegoat and everything going to be hanged on him?
Look, Quatrina, when we depend on whole this scandal, you said that this is going to be a big scandal in the Pakistan's history. This whole issue basically depends on the statement, or basically, or something which claimed as revealed by Mr. Mansoor Ejaz. He said that Mr. Hossain Haqqani said me this thing, and this is my BlackBerry, and this is some conversation which is recorded by him. You can understand very well when some person who claims to be a friend, or you claim him as a friend or a Pakistani origin friend, now American, and he is taping your telephones, and he is having record, putting his record, every record with him, and then he explained that why he revealed, why he put that record with the world, because the Pakistani nation is criticizing, or Pakistani government is criticizing Admiral Mike Mullen.
Yeah.
This he said very
he did, and it was kind of weird.
And the same Mansoor Ejaz, who basically initiated all this drama, says that President of Pakistan or government of Pakistan was not aware of all this conversation or all this documentation.
But he then goes on to say, Mr. Hossain Haqqani said, my boss knows, and the boss is obviously President Zardari.
But categorically he said, the President didn't know anything about it. This is Mansoor Ejaz's statement.
He later changed that statement. And he said the President had to have known.
So when one thing he said, we accept that. The other thing he said, we don't accept that. Now, the inquiry has been ordered, or some of our friends...
Have you, by asking for Mr. Hossain Haqqani's resignation, haven't you just basically indicted him as being guilty?
It is not the issue of guiltiness. Basically, there are many other issues in the country, and an issue where the opposition and the media has highlighted it so much. Mr. Hossain Haqqani or the government, in their wisdom, they thought that this is the better way to end this controversy, so that Hossain Haqqani was basically criticized by the opposition as well, and other than this,
Hossain Haqqani has been sacrificed at the altar of politics.
This you can say in one manner that he has been sacrificed, and that yes, there are certain people whose positions are being sacrificed for the betterment of the country or betterment of the situation.
Okay, we are going to return to this, of course. But Qadir Baloch, yesterday also I talked about the fact that the word or phrase Memogate draws directly from Watergate. And Watergate was the name of the building where 5 men had broken into the Democratic presidential headquarters. But the repercussions of Watergate's break-in continued for months, culminating in the resignation of President Nixon. Do you think that Memogate now stands over? Do you think the People's Party will actually follow through with concrete inquiry?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Thank you, Quatrina. What's the controversy? The controversy is that memo, that letter, which is alleged to have been written, or to have been dictated, or to have been drafted by the then Pakistan ambassador in the United States. That's Mr. Hossain Haqqani, right? Now, whether he did that or he didn't do it, he has been denying that. But the fact of the matter is that yesterday, when he was grilled for 10 hours.
10 hours?
Yes.
Okay.
This is what we are told. I don't know how far that's true. And end of that grilling or whatever took place yesterday, he was made to resign. His resignation was asked. Resigning is something different than resignation being asked is something different. This is what was fed to the papers, to the news media, right? That he was asked to resign, number one. Number two, whatever were the contents of the memo, there is a transcript which was again franked out to the media, that telephonic conversations plus telephone messages,
the BBM messages,
right, and the emails, and the contents of that needs to be matched with the body of the with the memo, whatever that memo contained, right? If that memo contained all that which was there in the transcript, right, then one could create at least, and then there is an acceptance from Mr. Haqqani that he did have exchange of messages with Mansoor Ejaz.
Which again has a statement that hasn't changed.
So Mansoor Ejaz, accepting this point that he had exchange of messages with Mansoor Ejaz, through SMSs, BlackBerry and all that, through emails, through telephonic conversations, right? He has accepted that. Now one has to see as to what was that messages which got exchanged, the emails which went on, that was meant for what? That was being done with a view to something. And that something we assume, at this moment I'm not blaming it, we assume was the outcome of that was supposed to be that memo. And it had been desired by somebody from Islamabad that such a memo be sent to Mike Mullen, and Mike Mullen later on taking it to his government and so on. Now the thing which requires to be, as a matter of fact, cleared is that was this memo drafted, or what was the connection of Mr. Hossain Haqqani with this memo? Did he have a connection with that or not? As a result of an inquiry which will be conducted, this point needs to be clarified whether he had something to do with it or not.
Your party
now,
demanded...
My party wants this. We want to know as to whether he had a connection with that memo, he drafted it, he approved it, what happened? His
Mr.
connection,
Haqqani.
we at the moment, whatever evidence has come out as a result of that, we are fully convinced that it was as his brainchild.
Mr. Hossain Haqqani's
Mr. Hossain Haqqani's brainchild. But
do you
he
believe
should
that it was his
still-
own initiative?
Yes, no. I'm coming to that point.
Okay.
Right? I'm coming to that. I'm not blaming anybody. So now his even party has also partially accepted that he had a role to play with that one. This part has been accepted. Because of that, the resignation was asked. Number one. Number two, we would also like as a position to know, was it only Mr. Hossain Haqqani, which was the author of that memo, or there were some other people also elsewhere, that's back here in Islamabad, who had also something to do with it, and they were the ones who pushed him to do this act, right? Now this is something very important because the contents of the memo are such which are directly concerned with the national security of our country, right?
Yes.
This point, these 2 points need to be clarified. One, what connection Mr. Hossain Haqqani had with that memo? Number two, did anyone else here back home had anything to do with that or not? And if somebody had something to do with it back home, then who is that somebody? What is his position?
Okay.
And if that somebody being so important, that somebody's again position is very important because he could take dictation either from the president or the prime minister. And if this government could be that naive that they had such an important person, if his own connection is proved that he drafted this letter, right? And they could keep such a, careless and naive person as the ambassador of the country in this most important country of the world. Again, they have to explain it to the nation.
Mr. Pervaiz Khan, there are a couple of things that I think in a court of law, I suppose you'd say, let's stipulate this. Just to work backwards, Admiral Mike Mullen has now acknowledged that he received the memo. It is acknowledged that General Jim Jones delivered the memo. So that way, working backwards, I think those two things have been acknowledged and accepted. And they've said they didn't believe it, whatever. The question is, who initiated the drafting of the memo? And that's where the whole the dispute lies, if I may say that. Was it Mr. Mansoor Ijaz acting on his own? Was Mr. Hossain Haqqani acting on his own? Was Mr. Mansoor Ijaz acting at the behest of anti-Pakistan interests and drafted this memo? Was Mr. Hossain Haqqani acting in the interest of the Pakistani leadership and drafted this memo? How important is it to get to the bottom of this?
Quatrina, I personally feel, and I am of the mind, that it's a premature discussion for the reason that when the Prime Minister has already directed an inquiry into the whole controversy, so it doesn't lie for us to just give our opinion, because basically now the inquiry that is supposed to be conducted and the probe that is being made, that shall bring out as to who was guilty.
Okay, so then who should conduct this probe?
Simply, Quatrina, the resignation of Haqqani doesn't mean that he is condemned, because you can't condemn anybody unheard. And
then why ask for his resignation?
One thing I should
no, Mr. Khan, then why ask for his resignation?
No, he has resigned even before going to the meeting. Before going to the meeting, he has given that the system of his that has been given, and everybody knows.
He was asked to resign, sir. The PM office said he was asked to resign.
Even if he has been asked to resign, or if that was a voluntary decision, whatever it was, that doesn't mean that the guilt has been established against Mr. Haqqani. He has provided the government an environment in which a proper probe, a transparent probe is supposed to take place. And I think that is a good act of Mr. Haqqani.
What do you think that probe should be? Judicial, parliamentary, inter-services?
I think, Quatrina, that I at the same time admit that it's a very delicate issue. The integrity and sovereignty of the country, according to the allegations of the memo, they are at stake. But Quatrina, let me ask a simple question, that the 6 points which are carried in the memo, can anybody tell me that whether these 6 points were not within the knowledge of the Americans? Are we not acting on whatever the 6 points carry? These are those points which are not new, which are not fresh.
Yes, I know, but these are American demands that this memo says we will deliver.
That is the policy.
No, but we are not, okay, let's talk about the contents of that, Mr. Khan. They say we will that memo says that a new national security setup will be established to deliver on these American demands.
Quatrina, I would again say that it is just an hearsay and the media, I don't know for what reason they are playing such an important part in it and they are raising the controversy.
Sir, the Washington Post raised the controversy of Watergate.
Quatrina, whatever it is,
It is
now
our
the
job.
question is that if suppose the inquiry committee, whatever decision they give or whatever they take out of the whole probe, the question is that we are not supposed to just go down to this controversy for the reason that now what lies before us is, irrespective as to what is the outcome of the inquiry committee, that I would stand personally feel that without just bringing the institution into clash, we should support all the institutions and all the institutions should be given their limits for playing their part.
What do you mean bringing institutions into clash?
I mean, suppose if somebody is trying to this much that they just intend that the institution should come at clash.
You mean the
basis of
military and the
this memo.
civilian government?
I would simply discard this for the reason that it's not, it will be harmful. But I would also say at the same time that whatever the allegations are or whatever we can infer from that, it is that the present system that should be kept running. That is what I am of the mind, that the basic issue should be this before all the politicians as well as before the country.
Okay.
That
General
the
Baloch,
system should not be
the
derailed.
system should not be derailed. Mr. Kaira, you want to go
One
first?
more thing.
Let's go one
just,
by one. Add,
just
and then I want to
Mr.
General Baloch.
Mr. Pervaiz Khan has raised very valid questions. One more thing just I want to add. The whole memo story starts that after Osama bin Laden, the government of Pakistan, this is the allegation,
Yep.
the government of Pakistan or the high-up of Pakistan, on behalf of them, the Pakistan's ambassador in US, he said to United States or through Mike Mullen to the
Michael
government
Mullen.
of the United States that please help us because we are now have a threat.
Please
That-
talk to General Kiani because he will listen to you. That's what the memo says.
For what? Basically, Osama bin Laden was an issue when American forces attacked this Pakistani land. Was it duty of the armed forces or the air force to defend the country, or it was the civil government to defend the country? So why the forces were going to take over? Because it was negligence of the civil government? Is this story? There is a reason, there should be a reason. That
Tell us what
Pakistani
you-
government was threatened because the military will take over, that Pakistan's sovereignty has been attacked. Okay. If it was basically by the permission of the by the civil,
me give you a counter- let me give you a counter alternative.
let me
Okay.
complete my argument. If it was basically cleared by the civil government or by the consent of the civil government, yes, it was. It may be a threat. But if it was a duty of the it is duty of the duty of the forces of any country to defend
The territorial borders.
the territorial borders. And if the borders were abused or they were crossed by any alien country, then it was the forces. We don't blame our forces. Our forces are fighting very, very bravely. They are giving sacrifices for that. And for that attack, our forces don't have the capability. And when majority forces of the world, they don't have the capability to catch the that technology which the Americans used in that attack. So this is basically a scenario which is built on a wrong perception, a wrong supposition.
Okay. Let's take a short break here. Let's take a break, and when we return, then I want to give General Qadir Baloch the floor so he can put his perspective into this whole situation and see where it leads us. We'll be right back. Stay with Express. And welcome back to Witness, and I now give the floor to General Qadir Baloch. Sir, of course, one of the big points that is being raised over here, Mr. Kaira points out that what motive would anybody have to write a memo of this nature? Because at that time, the army technically, I mean, I'm putting words into your mouth, but the army was on the back foot at that time. So why would there be any threat of a takeover, and why would the Pakistan government conceivably want to write a letter of this nature?
I have inserted this point and I will come down on it later on. First of all, I would like to comment on the points which were already given.
Right.
First point which is talked about regarding an inquiry. No doubts on the floor of the House, Prime Minister committed that he is going to hold an inquiry. But that's still a desire.
Yeah.
And APC we held, and the inquiry, even the inquiry, the announcement regarding the inquiry took place after about a month or so.
Yeah.
And similarly, one doesn't know as to when this inquiry would be ordered, who is going to conduct this inquiry, what are going to be its terms of reference, and so on and so forth. There are so many things that is yet to be seen, and so far we have not rejected it. Forget about that. So that's still a desire. Nothing has happened with regard to that except for an announcement coming from the Prime Minister. Right? Leave it there. Now we'll come down to the 6 points. It was said that probably they were not that serious Hence, they should be buried and nothing should be done about it.
I think we're pretty serious.
I will say that they are extremely serious. Reason being, a point was made that Mr. Khan, and he said that probably everybody knew about those. Yes, no doubts about it. He didn't say everybody, but the Americans probably knew about it.
Yeah, the Americans knew about it. There's nothing new in that.
But the fact of the matter is that that memo says that whatever is happening with regard to the conduct of war on terror and with regard to handling of Haqqani network, with regard to the Tariq-e-Taliban-e-Pakistan and also Al-Qaeda, it is going to be done as per your desire.
Yeah.
Right?
It was a capitulation.
And probably it was trying to convey that the armed forces are not.
Yeah. It also makes us saying that there will be a new national security setup. What did that
The first
mean?
point is new national security setup would come in and they are going to redirect the effort the way it's being conducted. Probably your desire is something different. We will done it in accordance with your desire and you will have a lot to do with that and a lot of inputs would be taken from you. That's point number one, right? Point number two was with regard to Bombay's fiasco which happened and what was going on. Again, there are some people, very important people who are being asked to be repatriated or extradited, right? And again, it has been said that probably, not probably, it has been said that those people who are involved and those people who are being asked probably are going to be pushed that side and given to them. This is again a national policy. There is no parallel government against whom an argument is being made. We take it that there should be no parallel government, but this memo is giving an indication as if there was a there is a parallel government which is running, and that parallel government is not responding to the instructions of the political government which is supposed to be the supremo in the field. Right?
And sir, if you could come to that other point.
Then S-wing being done this way or that way, and with regard to the nuclear assets that we have, there are certain very serious things which have been said about it, and an assurance has been given that those are also going to be handled in future as per your desire. Right? Now, these things, basically, all these 6 points are leading to one point, and that is that there is a parallel setup which is functioning in our country. We have no control over that. You please
basically
help
saying
us.
the military does
You
this,
please,
help us and we'll take care of
help
this.
us, and with the new team coming in, we will do everything in accordance with your desire.
Do you
right?
think that this government should actually do that? I mean, okay, please very briefly, sir, because
I'm taking my arguments out of the wording of the memo which is there.
I understand that.
I know nothing about it.
Yeah.
The only thing that I would like to know, or our party would like to know, as to whether our government had anything to do with it or not.
Briefly, sir, no motive. Just briefly,
Yes.
because I want to give the other gentleman a chance.
Motive. What was the motive? Probably, when you are very weak, when gets you weaker, you are likely to do certain things which are probably not in accordance with the norms. And yes, Army or the Armed Forces establishment had gone on the defensive as far as this Abbottabad business was concerned. The entire blame,
killing of Osama
the
bin Laden.
media and everybody put that
It is not only the armed forces, it is the whole country was.
Whole country was on the defensive.
And they had gone on the defensive and saying that they probably couldn't have done this. No, as far as I'm concerned, I'd say they won't have done anything. It's a wrong thing. It's a wrong assumption.
Okay.
But then this fellow thought that probably there is
this fellow? Who's this fellow?
Okay, there are so many fellows.
Who's this fellow?
There are so many fellows. There are so many fellows. We would like to know. We would like to know. Our desire would be there should be no fellow.
Okay.
Nobody from the
no
country.
fellow,
Our desire is.
chaps.
Our desire is. And Mr. Kaira's setup should come out cleaner from that.
Okay. Mr. Khan, I'm going to ask one question very critically on this. The fact, the fiction behind the memo, we don't know. We do need that investigation. But you're in the ANP, you're in the coalition. Do you think that the credibility of the Pakistan People's Party has been in any way damaged worldwide by this incident?
Well, Quatrina, as I had already said in the initial discussion of mine, that we are not supposed to blame the People's Party or the present government for the whole affair, till time that we are not getting anything proved against it.
But what about worldwide opinion? Because opinions are
I understand, the worldwide opinion may be against the party, but the question is that I, as a man of ordinary prudence, naturally I have to look as to what part the People's Party has played, what part Mr. Zardari has played, and what was the necessity for Mr. Zardari, who is a popularly elected president, to ask the Americans to help him. They have got a majority in the National Assembly. The coalition partners are with the People's Party. No question arises as to why the People's Party should ask the Americans.
Doesn't use the word coup, doesn't use the word military
It invites
intervention.
the Americans for some time of interference to support the present civilian setup.
Right.
That is the only thing. But the
do you think
question
that
is,
the memo, do you think now, obviously, just by the wording of the memo, that there was implicit in that a fear that there was going to be a military coup, A, and B, sort of like a thing saying, well, if you don't help us, the Al-Qaeda is going to take over in Pakistan? Did you pick up that sense from the memo itself?
Quatrina, I don't know what to say, but the question is that I would support again that if we have got something of the mind that the present assembly or the civilian setup or the apparatus, whatever we have got, the sword still hinges on this head of the parliament, and this has to be just swept out. For the reason that the present parliament should be given an clear-cut, an idea that nobody is interfering with the civilian setup, with the government, and each and every institution is working within its limits. That is what I'm of the mind.
I agree with you there. Mr. Kaira, one very important point in all this, of course, is that if this inquiry is not launched with a clear mandate, a clear terms of reference, it will raise eyebrows, definitely. Raise a lot of questions about the whole situation. But the real penultimate question really here is, will this inquiry take into account all the allegations that have been made, because charges, the Tehreek-e-Insaf, the PML-N is saying this is treason, and that is not a word one uses casually.
Quatrina, as far as Tehreek-e-Insaf is concerned, in Hamid Mee's program this evening, I was with PML-N's Khwaja Asif and Muhammad Malik of News. Muhammad Malik told on the air that Imran Khan, on the stage of that rally in Lahore, Minar-e-Pakistan, Lahore, asked Muhammad Malik that you have written something about a high-level Pakistani bureaucrat or diplomat. He has some problems in the story. Do you mean Haqqani? Malik said yes. I said yes. And then Imran Khan basically stood up and in a speech he alleged Haqqani. This is the story of the facts having with our leadership. So number one. Number two,
okay.
I really, this is a very wise, and my senior Mr. Khan has said very wise thing. Look, Quatrina, this is, when we say, the media says and our colleagues from the opposition say that this is attack on the sovereignty of Pakistan. What we are doing now? We are doing the talk shows that if it happens, if it did this, but this, ifs and buts, if we use these words and we keep on inquiring and we keep on alleging, just a minute. We keep on alleging the institutions and the parties and the government, then at the end, as you rightly said, that the perception over there in the world, who is building the perception? Yes, we. We are building the perception. Suppose tomorrow the inquiry committee says that all this, these allegations are wrong. Then the perception we have built and the abuses which we have used for the government and for our institutions, they will go. Now, I'll come quickly to this point. Quatrina, in Pakistan, this is a unique time. We had all parties conference. In that all parties conference, the military leadership came with open mind and open heart. They elaborated each and everything to the Pakistani leadership, all the situation with the Pakistani leadership, and not only the government, not only the People's Party, all the Pakistani political forces within the parliament or outside the parliament, they stood behind the forces. So, how is this possible that we said we are failing and we are standing somewhere else as far as the policy vis-a-vis US is concerned, or vis-a-vis war on terror, that the military is taking one position and the civil administration is taking something else.
Allow me to ask a question that everybody is asking.
No.
Okay, please finish.
Whole the Pakistani leadership, the civilian leadership and the military leadership, they were combined and together on the issues of war on terror, on the policy in war of terror. So there is no difference of opinion in war on terror. So a Pakistani government or Pakistani official will ask the Americans to please help us because our forces are not responding us. This is an old perception. Now we are using our forces ourselves. And the last thing what I want to say is, Quatrina, in Pakistan there is a history. Pakistan has a very strong army, and our army has a strong way of reaction.
And
Is there a wise man in Pakistan, a commonly wise man in Pakistan, who can think that he will disband such thing and he will dismantle some of the organizations within the structures? Is it possible? As far as two things are concerned, the Kashmir and the nuclear issue, there is no government's policy, there is Pakistan's policy. All the political forces, all the people of Pakistan, whether they are the political forces or the media or the other or the armed forces, they have one single point and single view on that. There is no compromise, and no government can think. Not only the People's Party government, not only the PML-N government, even the military dictator like Musharraf or Ziaul, they never could think about that they can compromise on Kashmir or they can compromise on nuclear assets. Who stupid will think like this?
Okay, I will ask you a very hard question. The inquiry, I hope, will be impartial, transparent. Will it follow through? If the name of the President of Pakistan drops into that inquiry, will it follow through on that?
Quatrina, look, this is again ifs and buts. With the ifs and buts, my friend from PML-N, he may make a point as far as the political point scoring is concerned, but factually, this will confuse the situation.
Everybody is asking this question, Mr. Kaira.
Everybody is asking, but let everybody be patient enough that let the inquiry be conducted.
When will
and
it
after
start?
the result, it should be started very soon. But one thing, the government of Pakistan, Foreign Office, our legal team, they have to sit together, they will sit together and they will form, because this inquiry committee or this inquiry proceedings, they have to ask who are the characters. In my early in the opening statement, I asked, there are 4 or 5 characters. One is Mr. Hossain Haqqani, the other is Mansoor Ijaz, the other is James Jones, the other is Michael
I think we can drop Mike Mullen and Jim Jones.
No. How you can?
Because they've accepted that they received the letter.
At the same time, they have said that we put it in trash because we didn't
take it seriously.
We didn't take it seriously.
Yeah.
So this is the position of Memo. So you have to, when you are going for an inquiry, and Mr. Mansoor is not a Pakistani citizen.
He is an American
He's
citizen.
an American citizen.
But has expressed his willingness to come here for the inquiry.
He has his history with as far as relations with Pakistan People's Party is concerned. In Mohtarama Benazir Bhutto's time,
we are aware of that.
she was attacked by the gentleman.
She threw him out of the house.
And as far as PML-N is concerned, he has a very strong relation with PML-N. Yes, in PML-N's time, he was introduced to Mr. Khaja Asif. He admitted in today's Haminbi's program that he was introduced by Mr. Sartaj Aziz, and he wanted to take some Pakistani assets or some Pakistani projects in Pakistan as far as the privatization is concerned. And the same Mr.
Are you saying that the PML-N is behind this memo?
No, I'm not alleging it. I am just saying that Mansoor Ijaz, whosoever will be, will come in the light. But as far as the Mansoor Ijaz is concerned, he is an American citizen. Can our law or our agencies or our courts call him or not?
He is volunteering to come.
No. Okay. Of course, when he will be called, he will come. Or if he says,
come. Yeah, he says he'll come.
This is now as an assumption. He has said it.
He said
but
it.
Tomorrow he comes or not.
Okay, I'm going to run out of time, and there's a very crucial issue. General Baloch, you want to respond to anything briefly that Mr. Kaira said?
Yes.
Because I need my last 3 minutes for an issue important to me.
One line. I'm very sorry to say one line. That as I earlier said, that Pakistan has a very clear policy. Pakistan, not any government. Pakistan has a very clear policy on the nuclear, on the Kashmir. No government, no Pakistani official can think against these things.
Okay.
One point was made that if this thing gets inquired into, plus a lot of dust is going to be thrown, and probably that's not going to be desirable, right? And probably it will get us a bad name in the Committee of Nations. It has already gone to the media. It's all over the world.
Yeah.
It is all over the world that there is a problem.
Yes.
There is a problem which has been pointed out as far as the relationship of the political government
we can't cover it
with the armed forces are concerned. So whether we inquire it or we don't inquire it, the facts which are going to come about, right?
It's better to have the inquiry than to have speculation.
May help the government,
Yeah.
may help the armed forces, right? And
But we
that's one
strengthen
point.
this point.
So, right, though that may help.
Your party has demanded a judicial inquiry. Are you going to stick to that?
Quatrina, basic point.
General Baloch, quickly, your party has demanded a judicial inquiry.
Yes, we have.
Do you still maintain that? You will insist on a
we have
judicial
already
inquiry?
gone to the court.
And if they don't, you move the court,
Yes.
so that you're going to follow through that.
And
So
as far as the court is concerned, they have moved to the court.
Please leave me. It's my turn.
Sorry,
It's my turn.
Sorry. I'll just say one
briefly,
word.
please finish.
Then asking this Mansoor Ijaz or any American being brought in or not, Mansoor Ejaz has already volunteered to come. Basically, the inquiry is not supposed to be done on Mike Bowler or James Johns, etc. They've got no involvement in that.
I think that's...
They are just accepting that they
so we're going to wrap up the time
given to them by so-and-so.
I think you know where I'm going, so that's why you're not going to let me get there. I really do want to commend the People's Party leadership, and I don't do this very often, but congratulations for putting women into strong positions of power. Ambassador to the United States is not going to be Sherry Rahman. You have, unfortunately, we had supported you as Minister of Information, but Firdaus, Speaker. Shazia Marie has replaced Sharjeel Dume, and then you've got Hina Rabani Kar as a foreign minister.
Quatrina, as far as People's Party is concerned, we don't believe in gender, we don't believe in race and greed.
Yes, so we support you on that.
We are always for empowerment of all the segments of society.
You come down to our party, and next time we are in power.
No, you can't preempt my answer. You can't preempt my question. There is no woman in a senior position, leadership position, except for Tahmina Doltana and the PML-N. You have a women's wing, don't hear about them. I don't believe in women's wings to begin with. I think women should be part of the mainstream. Where are the women in your party, sir? You don't give
basically, this is a party of capitalists. This is the party of capitalists by having a feudal mind.
No, please let me. What role are you looking for women in our party? And what role they have for the women in their party's organization?
Senior leadership positions in the party.
These are government appointments that you are. These are all government appointmental positions. Once we come in power, then you question.
Is there any woman in your party, in your CEC?
In our CEC, we have a lot of women.
Information leadership, General Secretary, Information Secretary, Deputy Information Secretary,
you ask them. You ask them.
All men.
Quatrina, you better ask them as to how many they have in their party organization.
They get a check mark for me.
Once we come in power,
they get a check mark for me. You guys don't get a check mark for me.
We are all the regards and respect.
How many? You have some women in leadership.
Today we had our provincial elections of the Pakhtunkhwa province. So 2 MPs of our have been elevated as the office bearers of the organization.
Of the central leadership?
Yeah.
Okay, not the women's wing.
No, the central office bearers.
Central office bearers. Only Tahmina Doltana in your organization, sir, for the largest.
Rahman is there. She's
not in a position. She's not a party position leadership.
She's MNA.
She's an MNA. Lots of MNAs. Where are the leaders?
Quatrina, as I said, that this is a party of capitalists, but with the fuel mind.
We are out of time. I'm told we're out of time.
Let's come in power.
We will not let you go on this, sir. I'd like to thank Mr. Qamar Zaman Kaira, Lieutenant General retired Qadir Baloch, and Mr. Pervaiz Khan for having joined me on today's program. Ladies and gentlemen, this is an issue, of course, which obviously as a woman I feel very strongly about. I'm proud of the fact that a woman is now going to be, again, Maliha Lodi who has been there, Abda Hussain has been there, now Sherry Rahman is going to be Pakistan's ambassador to the United States. I personally believe she's the right woman for the job, the right person for the job. People's Party has a good record in terms of giving women leadership roles in government, in politics, within the party and in the government as well. We'd really like to see that happening in all the political parties, and my personal opinion, General Qadir Baloch is going to scream at me, but PML-N sadly lags behind most political parties in this country. We hope, General Baloch, you will convey this to your party leadership. I have the right to my opinion and I want to see proof. Quatrina Hossain saying Khuda Hafiz from Islamabad. Of course,